This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
Did Chicago police officers shake down drug dealers? Tonight, prosecutors say tapes like this one caught them in the act. Good evening, I'm Allison Payne.
And I'm Steve Sanders. In the news tonight, 6 Austin district officers charged with corruption are back behind bars after spending hours in court.
And the evidence laid out against them is disturbing. WGN's Jackie Banks spent the day at court and joins us now with the story. Jackie?
Allison and Steve, it was an unusually long detention hearing, and in that time we learned much more about the federal investigation called Operation Broken Star. Prosecutors contend this video of 2 cars leaving a parking lot is actually a police officer escorting and protecting a drug dealer as he delivers narcotics. According to an FBI agent's testimony, this is also surveillance video of 2 Austin police officers meeting a so-called drug kingpin. Based in part on the surveillance, Judge Pallmeyer ruled today 4 Chicago police officers must remain behind bars until their trial.
Of course I'm disappointed. We thought that given these gentlemen's entire lives of honorable service to the community and their lack of criminal history, their ties to the community for their entire life.
But 2 other police officers will eventually be released, most likely on electronic home monitoring.
I think what made the difference is that the allegations against my client was that he engaged in misconduct on one day.
The misconduct involves a total of 7 police officers from the Austin district on the west side. Based on the indictment, the men are accused of robbing drug dealers and in some cases receiving protection money from them. Those dealers were actually undercover police. They were players in a year-long federal probe into police corruption called Operation Broken Star.
A number of these individuals had large quantities of narcotics that were seized from their lockers in the 15th District Police Station. Others had numerous firearms.
Not a word from any of the officers' relatives following the detention hearing today, but earlier in the day, Superintendent Matt Rodriguez addressed the issue before a police graduation.
I imagine that they sat where you sit, eager and ambitious at graduation, but they made some wrong decisions.
One other police officer is charged in this investigation. He will go before a judge this Friday. Of the 7 officers arrested, 3 have confessed to the crimes. Allison and Steve?
Okay, Jackie, thank you. Northbrook police believe a hammer may be the murder weapon in the north suburb's first homicide in 12 years. 67-year-old Marilyn Arnapole was found beaten to death in the basement of her home on Friday. Autopsy results show she suffered head injuries, blunt trauma, and slash wounds on her neck. Police are passing out flyers asking neighbors to be on the lookout for the murder weapon.
It's probably a hammer-like device. We don't know if it was taken from the house or something that was brought into the house, but from the medical examiner's report, this is the type of injuries that we're looking at are consistent with a hammer type of device.
Arnapole was a widow with 4 daughters. She lived alone.
Allison, relatives of the Des Plaines couple killed in a plane crash in California are trying to cope with their loss tonight. The crash happened Sunday near Lucerne Valley, about 72 miles east of Los Angeles. Early indications are turbulence contributed to the crash. 55-year-old Louis Karyolek and his wife Anitma died in the accident. Their daughter was piloting the plane. She was also killed. A scare at Midway Airport. A jet misses its turn and ends up using an entire runway to land. Northwest Airlines Flight 1729 was coming into Chicago from Detroit with 70 people on board. No one was hurt in the mishap. An FAA official says the plane landed long and had to be towed to its gate.
The plane couldn't come to a stop, and we just kept up the speed until we were almost in the street.
Well, officials do not believe the incident was weather-related.
A new twist tonight in the ongoing battle over Meigs Field.
Governor Edgar has given the city what he says is a reasonable compromise. WGN's Randy Solano is here with more on the story. Randy, good evening.
Good evening, Steve and Allison. The governor says the state can have planes taking off and landing at Meigs within 48 hours if the city and FAA check off on his proposal. Mayor Daley wants to see the plan in writing, a plan that on the surface gives him his park, but not for at least 7 years. The X's painted on the runway showing it's closed may fade away before a resolution comes to fruition. Tonight, Governor Edgar, perhaps in the spirit of the season, offers yet another compromise. This one, let the planes fly for 7 more years and then possibly turn the runway into Parkway.
This would give everyone a chance to sit back and try to figure out how, if Meigs is going to be closed, it can be handled, and also to see if in 7 years that's really the right course to take.
It should be noted Mayor Daley didn't immediately dismiss the idea. In a prepared statement, he says, quote, "At this point, we have only a verbal offer of compromise. We haven't seen anything on paper. Until we do, until our attorneys have a chance to look at the compromise, we'll withhold judgment." Park District Superintendent Forrest Claypool at this point, though, doesn't seem to endorse it.
To delay this park is going to cost millions of dollars to the taxpayers. I'm really not sure that makes sense for just an extension of a few years. I think probably what still makes sense is for this to continue to be a park.
As it stands now, the state is poised to take over Meigs June 1st. Possibly immediately, though, if the General Assembly takes up the issue next month. A deadline, if you will, for the mayor to respond to this latest plan. Governor Edgar also says if the city doesn't want to pay for running Meigs, the state will do it. Stephen Allison.
Okay, thanks, Randy.
A surprise witness is coming forward with what she calls information about former death row inmate Rolando Cruz. It involves Cruz's alleged dream statement. Earlier this month, 7 law enforcement officials were indicted for misconduct in the Cruz case. They allegedly manufactured the vision statement used to convict Cruz in the murder of Janina Carrico. Now, an attorney for one of the indicted officers says a 52-year-old Bloomingdale woman claims that Cruz also told her about the dream. He says he will use that testimony to request that the indictment against his client be dropped. Cruz was twice convicted of the murder, then freed. His attorney maintains Cruz's innocence.
Allison, the case grows against a Westmont man accused of sexually assaulting a woman who is both physically and mentally handicapped. Officials confirmed today that 12 additional charges have been filed against Ellery Lichter on top of the 6 he already faces.
Well, we just started investigating it even more, and a few other things came up, and with the individual that's a victim in this case has a problem psychologically, and that's one of the reasons for the upgrades in the charges.
The alleged victim is 20, but police say her mental age is just 5 to 8 years old. Lichter is free on bond. His first court date is set for next Tuesday. Well, tonight the search continues for a former police chief turned murder suspect. Ronnie Berry disappeared after his wife's body was found in their home in south suburban Phoenix, where Berry once headed the police department. Berry, seen in this home video, is believed to be somewhere in Indiana. He has talked to friends and told them he did not kill his wife, Stephanie. Anyone with information about Berry's whereabouts is asked to call Phoenix Police or Illinois State Police.
Well, Santa may feel right at home when he lands in Chicago tomorrow night.
That's right. Another Arctic blast is on the way. Tom Skilling's complete Christmas forecast straight ahead.
And later, stirring up the lights. 40,000 of them. See why this Christmas display is slowing traffic.
You're watching Chicago's very own WGN News with Allison Payne, Steve Sanders, Tom Skilling, and Dan Rowe. This is WGN News at 9.
This portion of WGN News is brought to you by Kellogg's. Kellogg's with good taste, nutrition, and value. The best to you each morning from Kellogg's.
Well, good evening. These troubled skies captured by our WGN time-lapse cameras today, with a little brightening later on, still portend a major weather change, a 40-degree temperature drop, and wind chills that will go well below zero inside the next 12 hours. Just look at this flow into the area as precipitation, even thunderstorms today, turned off in Chicago. Here's a look at the satellite imagery for the on-top view. Look at the bumpy thunderstorm clouds that came through parts of the area and produced rather vigorous lightning and very heavy rains in some cases as a major snowstorm continues to bury the upper Midwest tonight. You can see the curls starting to show up as this powerful winter storm gets ready now to blow the cold air in, having brought spring-like warmth to Chicago today. And while the rains move out, the snows continue to traverse northeast and northern Wisconsin and upper Michigan, and there upwards of 20 inches of snow may come down in some areas. WGN's autoplot system has just put down these reports from National Weather Service observers, including heavy snow at Green Bay. This area up here could see 12 to 16 inches of snow in spots and up to 20 inches downwind of the lakes as our rain pushes off to the west of us. Big rains downstate. This corridor right here had 1.4 inches of rain and marks the blue and the yellow area where the thunderstorms were heaviest today, and they came up into parts of Cook County too. But that's all over. Frigid air is coming in a big chunk and won't let go till the weekend, and then it'll do so rather dramatically as we warm back up very quickly again. But today, the warmest temperature in 5 weeks since way back in mid-November, 52 degrees in Chicago as we got into the warm sector of this powerful storm now over Milwaukee and pulling away, bringing a sure sign of colder air, strong northerly winds, and wait till you see the wind chills blowing in on these winds that wrap into the storm center right there. It's northerly winds now that take over from the south winds of today, and they plug into this massive cold air dome. This is the polar vortex, which spills into the country, and at 9 o'clock has Bismarck, North Dakota, 12 below, and 22 below at Winnipeg, and 36 below up not far from Great Slave Lake. That's the cold air that we're tapping. Close up at 9 o'clock again, the thermometer reading is 36 here, but 21 at Moline, 1 at Des Moines, 0 in Omaha, and add the wind chill in there. Look at these numbers. Temperatures down to around 56 below zero in some areas like out by Pierce, South Dakota on the wind chill, 52 below Sioux Falls, and 45 below at Des Moines. So you get an idea of the kind of temperature drop that's coming into the area. Already winds are gusting to 33 and our wind chills down to 9 above in Chicago with a humidity of 96%. Reason for the cold is just a little buckle in the jet stream right here, but you can see this northern branch coming in from Canada. But it looks like after low temperatures tomorrow night of 5 to 10, some snow may finally arrive on the scene, but too late to wait in Christmas. We'll have little snow flurries before then, but perhaps a measurable snow, not tomorrow night, but perhaps Wednesday night or part of Thursday. We'll be watching that. Sharply colder tonight, some flurries after the rains of earlier today. Lows down to 16 to 20 and wind chills dropping to -8 to -17 by morning as northwest winds blow. Frigid winds and cloudy periods may produce a few passing snow flurries tomorrow. High temperature up to about 15. Actually, it falls during the day toward 15 with a wind chill running from -10 to -22. Cold and breezy tomorrow night. Lows from 5 to 10 with clouds breaking at times and just a couple of snow flurries. And wind chills down way below zero. And cold and breezy on Christmas Day will be clouding over. Could be some snow at night, it looks like now. And it looks like temperature readings only 12 to 18 degrees on Christmas Day. 7-day outlook? Well, look at this big warm-up to 36 Friday and 38 on Saturday with maybe some rain showers by Saturday. No sign of the Arctic air spilling back in right away, but it's up there in Canada and probably be down sometime next week. But Pacific air later on, guys.
All right, welcome back from Alaska.
Thanks a lot. Nice to be back.
Coming up, a dazzling display of Christmas lights you won't want to miss.
And they call it slamming. Some shady long-distance carriers may be trying to swindle you. Stay with us. If you ever wondered what 40,000 lights look like, wonder no more. That's how many bulbs are strung on this house on Frontage Road in Rolling Meadows. The owners told the Chicago Sun-Times that it takes 4 people nearly a month to complete the decorations, and their monthly electric bill soars to $450 a month.
Got to see that one. What are consumers complaining about the most these days? Well, it's no longer home or car repair ripoffs, but a practice called slamming. The Come On says you can win a shiny Mustang convertible just for filling out a form. Those who filled it out probably didn't win the car, but they did get slammed, having their long-distance service switched to a company they probably didn't ask for.
This is done in such a confusing manner that people think they're entering a contest, and what they're really doing is changing their phone service.
But you don't have to fill out a form to get slammed. Sometimes they'll do it for you. Claudia Schuyler of Lincoln Park got slammed in a scam in which her husband's signature was apparently forged. The new company's rates were twice those of her old one.
We called them up and kind of ranted and raved a bunch, and they wouldn't do anything. And they said, we have a signed piece of paper saying that you changed. And I said, well, fax it to me. And they did, and it showed my husband's signature in a very roundy, female-looking handwriting.
Not his signature.
Not his signature.
That's Chicago, Illinois.
Ameritech is where customers who've been slammed call to complain.
Customer calls in and says, you know, I just received my latest bill and I realized that my provider's been changed and I didn't authorize this change. What happened?
Slamming, it seems, is happening more now than ever as competition for your long-distance dollar heats up. Just last week, the Illinois Attorney General filed suit against 3 companies charging slam scams.
These 3 defendants were primarily switching people's phone service by deceptive practice involving contests.
If you're an Ameritech customer who wants to avoid having your long-distance service changed without your permission, there is a number you can call for SLAM protection. The number is 1-800-SLAM-920. You will not be charged for the call. Well, from coast to coast, you saw the Bulls action right here.
Still ahead, get the post-game reaction.
That's right, Allison. Dan Roan back at the United Center where the dust is settling on the Bulls' 113-81 win over the Nets tonight. Post-game coming up in sports.
And once again, the Bulls start out slow and did just start to explode later.
Well, the one team they always just kill is New Jersey.
They have got their number.
I tell you, New Jersey's terrible. After the first quarter, one would think the Bulls still had Christmas shopping on their minds. And Michael had no points, and the Bulls were down by 14. But fear not, they came back and now have a 7-game winning streak. Dan Roan is standing by live at the UC where he has all the highlights as well as the locker room report. Dan, nice night.
I'll tell you what, Rich, by the time this game was over, they might as well have put gift wrap and a bow on it. I mean, it was unbelievably easy after that first quarter as the Bulls win at 113-81, a 50-point turnaround in this game. And let's check out some of the highlights. First quarter was all New Jersey, especially the rookie Kerry Kittles. Bombed it in from the left wing for 3 right there. Next possession, down it goes to Kendall Gill. The former Illini star knocked it down, and then Gill and Kittles combined for a transition basket. It was 10-0. The Nets had the lead. The crowd was shell-shocked, and it was 30-16 in the first quarter before the Bulls finally woke up. Kittles had 17 in the first quarter, none the next 2 periods, and MJ shut out in the first, had 12 in the second. Here comes the rally right here. Jed Bushler off the bench against his old teammates. Stole it, dunked it. Bulls had the lead for good right there. Nets not putting up much of a fight once they fell behind. They're shorthanded without Jason Williams and really couldn't get anything going on the boards. Tony Kukoc end-to-end for the 3-point play. 55-45 Bulls at halftime, and it only got worse from there. Third quarter, stole it. Here goes Scotty on the run out for the dunk. Pippen had 20 in the game tonight, and when he wasn't shooting them down close like that, he was draining them from outside. Good shooting performance by Chicago tonight and a 32-point victory, even though they did have that slow start in the first quarter.
Well, after the game got going, which is the second quarter, we were okay. But those first 6 minutes were rather painful out there for us. And they came out and shot the lights out of the court, and we had to start over again. Pretty good help off the bench tonight. I thought we got our game going. Got Tony and Randy in there at the end of the first quarter and started getting back in the ball game.
So the Bulls win their 7th in a row. They'll be home Christmas morning to open their gifts, and then they'll try to unwrap the Detroit Pistons on Christmas night right back here at the United Center. So live on the West Side after a big Bulls win, Dan Roan, WGN News. Rich?
Okay, Dan, thanks a lot, and Merry Christmas.
Same
See you
to
back
you.
here a bit later on. Like the Bulls, let's check the NBA scoreboard first of all before we go on to the Blackhawks and check what happened around. There's the Bulls final, 113-81. Orlando beats Cleveland 89-84, and Atlanta losing in New York to the Knicks. They've won 3 in a row now, 82-76. The final there. Wrapping it up, Milwaukee beats Houston. The Rockets without Barkley again, losing I think their 3rd or 4th in a row. Minnesota 107-98, winners over Utah. The Jazz slipping a bit, and Miami beats San Antonio 90-79. Well, like the Bulls, the Blackhawks in a pre-Christmas rush, playing 2 games in 2 nights. Hawks in Beantown tonight in Boston, and what's this guy doing? He should be working right now. He's at the game watching some hockey. Hawks working hard as they grab the lead. Bob Probert, his 3rd goal of the year. Some nice stick work there. Hawks on top 2-zip. Later on, the Hawks would take another 2-goal lead. It would be 3-1 after James Black slaps one in here. Hawks in good shape, 3-1, but they could not hang on in third. The Bruins rallying to beat Eddie Belfour here, tie him at least. Troy Millette with the score here, and this would salvage a 3-3 tie for the Bruins against the Hawks tonight. As for the Bears, well, they packed up, said goodbye after losing their final game yesterday to Tampa. The Bears ending up at 7-9, and Dave Wanstead listed as chief disappointments.
Production in our passing game, you know, from being 4th or 5th in the NFL last year and setting 11 records to this year being 27th in the league and last in the league in third downs and one of the worst scoring teams in the league. I think we were 26th in the league in scoring points.
It was a tough year all the way around, lots of injuries. One more note tonight, Northwestern lost the big player for the Citrus Bowl. Hudayfa Ismaili declared ineligible, violation of school policy. No comment beyond that tonight, so the cornerback is out of the Citrus Bowl against Tennessee, and that is a big loss. He was one of their star players, a starter, and they'd be hard-pressed anyway. Now they're even more hard-pressed to win that game.
So considering the Bulls' record against New Jersey, how do they get excited about playing those guys? I mean,
it's rough. I mean, that's why they got off to a sluggish start. You got to think they got their number all those years, and boy, I tell you, it's amazing. They came back strong.
Rich, thank you.
They look great. Thanks, Rich. And that wraps up this edition of WGN News. Thanks for making us your choice. I'm Allison Payne.
And I'm Steve Sanders. Have a great night, everybody.